Could the key to the mysteries of the Mayan prophecies of 2012 exist amidst the vertical spires of a lonely island in the Pacific? Two explorers, Jim Turner and Jeff Saltz, are trying to find out. But they are at the mercy of the island's quickly shifting weather. They rise to face gale force winds.
That was kind of a rough night. Well, I stuck my head out of the tent this morning and the wind almost took my head off. And then climbing out and realizing it was going to be a real hassle packing things up. I never got my tent fly to nail down properly. That sucker was flapping and flopping. It was like having a moray eel flap me upside the head all night.
The fly ripped on my tent as I was trying to break it down. The wind was so strong it just tore right through the fabric.
I didn't even put the tent in the tent bag. I just stuffed it in my bag and just crammed it in there.
So I can't say I got a very good rest, but I'm still feeling pretty energetic. I'm looking forward to getting back into the vicinity of the monument and checking it out again.
Are you ready?
I think so. I'm at that place where I'm wandering across these empty hills devoid of trails. I've seen nothing that looks anything like a Mayan monument. I feel like I'm Sancho Panza trailing behind this wide-eyed archaeologist Don Quixote who's chasing his impossible dream. And I don't know if we're going to find a windmill or a Mayan monument. We still got to push quite a bit further today. Our goal is to get somewhere near the monument, make camp, and then either this evening we'll get a glimpse of this rock pile or tomorrow early on.
The flanks of the island are steep and covered in loose shale, making the traverse perilous. If Mayans had journeyed to the island, their crossing would have been equally dangerous. Without trails, Turner and Saltz are forced to wade through dense vegetation, making their progress slow. They make camp less than 2 hours' hike from the monument, deciding to wait until morning to finish the journey.
It was a long hike today.
Yeah, it was a long hike today. It was uneven territory.
It's a great island.
Beautiful. I mean, it presents some challenges to me when I think about your hypothesis. I mean, a number of things. I've been thinking about a number of things. One is, if I were a Cimbalum, if I were the son of a king, and I wanted to monumentalize myself infinitely, why would I choose to travel halfway around the world to an island that no one I knew or would ever know would ever experience?
Cimbalum was looking for greater glory. It was a glory that transcended not only his own time, but the time of his entire culture. He was contemplating these massive cycles of history, and by demonstrating forcefully his mastery of space and time, perhaps he's worthy of the designation that he is, in a sense, a time god, a master of this universe.
The Mayans believed that as a king, Cimbalum had unique powers of communion with other royal spirits, and through them, to the gods residing in the heavens. But such communication came at a cost.
Only the ancestors of kings go up into the heavens. Everybody else's ancestors go down into the underworld and they stay there. This underworld place is called Xibalba. It's translated place of fright. Most people's ancestors are living down there. There are ceramics that show people walking foot and foot on the top of the earth and in the underworld. So it's a mirror image. Lords of death who rule that area down there are harsh, whereas the gods that live in the upper world are more benevolent. And it's that place that the king's ancestors get to go. Bloodletting is the process through which they contact their ancestors. They prepare themselves for days by exhausting themselves. Then then they use a stingray spine or a piece of obsidian, and they cut their penis. Then they put paper around their penis. Then they burn that blood-soaked paper, and that smoke goes up into the sky. They call it Boots Chan, the smoke serpent, and it becomes the conduit through which they speak to their ancestors.
It was in this way, through exhaustion and self-mutilation, that the kings were able to reach an altered state in which their dead ancestors were able to communicate with them. Was it just a hallucination, or were they somehow able to commune with forces otherwise unreachable?
Is it possible Chan Baloum used the smoke serpent ritual to gather the sacred information necessary to build the monument, so that the kings and gods could return to Earth at the end of time? Sauls is not convinced.
Have you found any sort of human artifact at all? Any sort of wooden implements or chipping stones or anything else that would support your idea that obviously they had to work on this thing for a while? It couldn't have been done overnight.
Until an actual archaeological investigation is undertaken, we're left with nothing more than what we see on the surface, which for me is pretty impressive. A monument of that size and scale, that's the evidence of human construction as far as I'm concerned.
I look forward to taking a look tomorrow and trying to see what you see and feel what you feel.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Well, I better get some rest.
All right, gather
Good
your
night, my
energy,
friend.
prepare your mind. See you in the morning. When I think back on how the monument would have been conceived and the intentions of its creators, I realize that the monument suggests a sophistication far above and beyond anything that's recognized for the ancient Maya today. Here we have a monumental construction built on a distant island in the only location in the hemisphere that will witness both the transit of Venus and the final total solar eclipse of 2012. Transit of Venus is one of the rarest cosmic phenomenon there are. The next one after 2012 won't occur for more than a century.
The Mayans considered the planets to be the physical representation of their gods, and Venus was the most sacred. Believing in interconnectivity, they looked to astronomical events for everything, including the alignments of their buildings. An event such as the transit of Venus, in which Venus is seen to cross the sun's face a mere 200 days before the end of their final calendar, would have provided the special inspiration needed for them to construct the monument. For the Maya, the movements of Venus could be used to foretell the future, and lifetime after lifetime they tracked its passage across the heavens, carefully documenting what they saw there each night.
They would watch the east and the west horizon at dawn and at dusk. If one person stands with a plum stick in the center, and then a rope ties that to another stick where a person is judging where the horizon is, the person in the center stick, as long as it's plum, can say, okay, you go out here, you're now standing right in the position of Venus rising. Let's make the string taut between the two of us and mark a point where your stick is. Okay, that's our point for today. Now let's do it again tomorrow. A little bit over. Let's do it again the next day. A little bit over. Soon, over a year, they have an entire arc of where Venus has moved. As they watched it come back to its same place, they got down to a point where they had an average for the cycle of Venus that was 584 days. Our modern best is 583.92. Ancient Maya were 0.08 off of the best that we can do in modern science in judging the cycle of Venus.
It took them whole lifetimes to build their models of Venus. The Mayans determined when they would plant their crops, when they would go to war, and where to build their monuments based on that planet's movements. The monument may have been constructed for their gods and kings to return to stand witness as Venus makes its rare passage across the face of the sun in the final year of the Mayan Fifth Age.
It can't be any accident that the Mayans chose to bring their long cycle count to an end in the same year as one of these Venus transits, one of these Venus pentagram cycles wraps up.
Tuesday on an all-new Ancient Aliens, the series. Was there an alien influence
The Anunnaki created humans as a slave species.
on human DNA?
This is part of the Sumerian history. It's carved in their stone.
Extraterrestrials came here, and through a targeted mutation of our genes, we became human.
An all-new Ancient Aliens, the series. Tuesday at 8. History made every day. America, the story of us. Tonight at 9 on History Made Every Day. Presented by Bank of America, fueling progress and opportunity throughout our history.
American colonies before the Revolution existed for the economic good of the mother country.